Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special Cabinet meeting. I'm Councillor Dale Broughton, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. To my left is Councillor Mike Gilbert, Deputy Leader of the Council and Vice Chairman of Cabinet. Before we start the meeting, I need to run through a few housekeeping details. I'd like to remind everyone in attendance this evening that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube. Please ensure when you're addressing this meeting that you do so through the microphone system at all times. Please also ensure that you're speaking to the microphones as closely and as clearly as possible. Mobile phones should be turned off or switched to the silent mode. Finally, please be advised that abuse or intimidation of any kind will not be tolerated. Any disturbance will result in the meeting being adjourned. Anyone who is deemed to breach these requirements will be warned and asked to refrain, and if the behaviour persists, they will be required to leave the meeting. We will now move to part one of the agenda, the preliminaries. Apologies for absence. Are there any apologies?
There are no apologies.
Thank you, Amanda. Does any member wish to declare any interest in respect of any items on the agenda?
Yes, Chair. In the interests of item 3 on the pack, just to, because of the transparency, I work for Cadent Gas, who is the gas network transporter which covers the whole of Boston Borough. There is no direct relation between Cadent and this policy, but because it relates to on-gas properties, I just want to put that onto record.
Thanks for that, Councillor Martin. Now we move to part 2 of the agenda, the items. The first item on the agenda this evening is the 2024-25 Q4 finance update, which starts on page 1 of the agenda pack. Councillor Gosh, would you like to present and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. I'm pleased to present the final outturn position for the Council's finances for the financial year 24-25, now concluded as of 31st of March 25. Regarding the revenue outturn, the Council has closed the year with a revenue surplus of 1.015 million, a significant improvement from the Q3 forecast of £627,000. This positive variance has been driven primarily by disciplined underspends across most service directorates, totaling £746,000, reflecting effective cost control, particularly in IT, staffing and project deferrals. Strong investment income performance with a net favourable variance of £711,000 against the budget of £1.587 million. After transferring £53,000 of S106 interest to the balance sheet, the net benefit stands at £658,000. While most directorates contributed positively, governance and monitoring and general fund assets recorded overspends. In terms of service income, planning and cremation fees underperformed by 91,000 and 92,000 respectively, partly offset by an increase in car parking income of £56,000. About efficiency savings against our 24-25 efficiency target of £846,000, the Council has delivered £656,000 in savings, representing 78% of the goal. While no additional savings were recorded in Q4, the overall service underspends have contributed positively to the Council's surplus position. Regarding Internal Drainage Board, the Council received £431,000 in government support during 24-25 from a national 3 million allocation to offset IDB levy pressures. Engagement continue with the local government minister on sustainable long-term solutions. However, funding details for 25-26 are yet to be confirmed. Regarding capital program, the revised capital program for the year was set at 20.814 million, with total expenditure reaching £15.070 million by year end, demonstrating significant momentum in Q4. This reflects our commitment to progressing key infrastructure and service improvement projects across the borough. Treasury management, the Council's treasury positions remains strong. Cash investment closed at £34.832 million. Property fund investments valued at £15.237 million and the borrowing cost remained within budget at £111,000. Reserves, the total reserves have increased by £3.343 million, up from £16.002 million. I think it's now £19.345 million in reserves. The general fund reserve remains stable at £2 million, while other specific reserves reflect the year-end surplus allocations. My recommendation that the cabinet notes the improved outturn positions for 24-25, including the £1.015 million revenue surplus, driven by disciplined service underspends and strong investment income, and acknowledges the delivery of 78% of the efficiency savings target. That cabinet recommends to full council that the £1.015 million surplus be transferred to the volatility reserve. That cabinet notes the BTAC surplus of £86,000 and approve its transfer to the BTAC reserve. I commend the strong financial management and delivery across services this year. Subject to cabinet's approval of these recommendations, I am happy to take any questions or provide further details. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ghost, for that detailed report. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Baxter, thank you. Are there any questions on this report? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to ask the portfolio holder, or just say that it's really positive to see the investments have done particularly well in this quarter, and is that looking like it's going to continue going forward? Thank you.
It's a very difficult question. Obviously, the interest rate varies every year, every quarter, but the team is always keeping an eye on it, and they are trying to invest on the best possible wherever we can get the best interest rates. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? No. I'd just like to say it's great to see such strong financial management and the returning of monies to our reserves for definite. And please pass on my sincere thanks to the finance team for the continued hard work. Right, we'll now move to the vote then. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Hold on, Councillor Ghosh. Right, part 2 of the agenda, quarter 4. The next is quarter 4, 24-25 performance and risk report, which starts on page 27 of your pack. This is my report, so I will present and propose a recommendation. Performance. These are the key performance indicators for quarter 4 as at the end of March 2025. Performance is good overall, with the majority being green. That is on or better than target. Only one red measure at the end of the financial year, average answer rate for revenues and benefits. This is due to an increase in the duration and complexity of calls. Opening hours and call lines are all extended to try to mitigate this. There's more detail in the commentary about the type of calls and the success of callbacks. The risks. The strategic and partnership risks have been fully reviewed again in quarter 4 with details in the table in the covering report. The S151 officer is reviewing the finance risk to feed into Q1 reporting. The overall risk relating to the depot is reduced due to the lease agreement. The risk around staff retention is duplicated in the partnership risk register as it applies across the board. So it's recommended we remove that from the individual risk register and just have it in one place in the future. The recommendation is that Cabinet notes the quarterly performance and risk information for quarter 4, and I look for a seconder. Councillor Ghosh, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Ghosh.
Quick question, it's a bit technical one. Why it's appendix 2, page 66. It's BBC 11. So why it's a risk is high, but I'm assuming it should be medium. I think we are in a very good situation regarding ICT.
Corey, can you answer?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. We are in a good position with it. I think ICT is a funny one because you will always have, obviously, the risk of the failure if it breaches is always going to be high. I think when it comes to the ICT risk, the mitigation is obviously reducing the likelihood. This risk is obviously reviewed by Jackie as well as the senior delivery team. So I can obviously feed this back in terms of future reviews, obviously your comments on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, the reason of that question is because obviously I hold the IT portfolio and I know where it's going, and I'm very happy with their performance. So I think it should be a bit lower on risk. That's my thought. Thank you.
Yeah, no, totally fair. I think the only point I would add as well on this appendix, you'll see as well, we have a target risk score for this risk, which is a 2.5. So it's at the level that's deemed as where we want it to be, if that makes sense. So appreciate the risk. The impact is always going to be high, but what we're saying here is we've managed to mitigate the risk to the level which we're comfortable with. So it's reached that target due to the mitigations in place, which is a success in itself, but the risk itself will always be quite high, as you can imagine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Great. I'd just like to say ending 24-25 with strong and consistent performance is something officers and members should be very proud of. And again, their work should be commended for these reports. So thank you. Right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 3. The third agenda item is the Home Energy Advice and Retrofit Team report, which starts on page 81 of the agenda pack. Councillor Violet, would you like to present and propose the recommendations?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. The purpose of this report is to gain member approval for the operational arrangements for SELCP delivery of warm homes, local grants and energy advice across the sub-region. Report sets out continuation of the approach that has been in place for 2 years, for 2 previous funding rounds, the delivery of energy efficiency grants across South and East Lincolnshire. Funding of £5,639,746 has been secured from the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero for the next 3 years to deliver the Warm Homes local grant programme. Circa 22% of this funding is for the Boston area. This report seeks approval for the knowledgeable and experienced team based at East Lindsey District Council to continue to deliver grants on behalf of Boston and South Holland residents. In addition, a further funding award of £362,720.15 has been secured working with charity partners PECT to roll out the services of the Home Energy Advice Service into Boston and South Holland to provide energy efficiency advice, support and wider social signposting to residents. This follows a successful pilot run in East Lindsey over the last 2 years and will include the services of a mobile electric energy van alongside 4 home energy advice officers. The report includes plans to continue the programme monitoring board to oversee progress of the home energy advice and retrofit team in delivering both projects and has portfolio holder representation from all 3 councils. The report sets out the main eligibility criteria for the grant programme, with the main notable change from the previous programme being that properties with mains gas will now once again be eligible for funding. In addition, the new programme will also see landlords receive 1 fully funded property, with all subsequent properties requiring a 50% financial contribution. The Energy Advice Service is, however, open to anyone interested in finding out more about saving money on their energy bills and looking for advice at the various funding sources that are available. The Group Manager is available to take any specific questions around the programme delivery. The recommendations to Cabinet are that Cabinet approve the principle of East Lindsey District Council, acting as the lead authority and accountable body for the Warm Homes local grant programme and the Home Energy Advice Service on behalf of Boston Borough Council. Approve the entering into an appropriate written agreement between East Lindsey District Council and Boston Borough Council for delivery of the 2 programmes, subject to legal advice, with delegated authority given to the Assistant Director Regulatory in consultation with the portfolio holder to agree the terms of the agreement. And approve the continuation of a programme monitoring board for warm homes local grant and for this board to also receive updates in relation to delivery of the Home Energy Advice Service as outlined in paragraph 2.13. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Ryder, and I'd just personally like to welcome you onto the Cabinet. So have we a seconder? Councillor Butler, any questions? Councillor Baxter.
Hello, Chair. Thank you. Not really questions, but comments. Really pleased to see this report, and I support it wholeheartedly. It fits in with some of the work within my portfolio to do with the Good Homes Alliance and also housing standards. Also representing a rural area, really pleased to hear about the programme that Councillor Violet mentioned, that home energy advice officers would be supplied. But most of all, I can't wait for Eric, the energy van, to come to Old Leek and Wrangle and all the rural areas. Often we get forgetting and obviously can't get to an office or use IT. So that was a pleasure to read that. Also to mention as well, once again, linked with our community, where it says a training budget will be available, helping local volunteers to act as community energy champions, which fits in with the community work that we do. So I wholeheartedly approve the report and thank the people for drafting the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. I'd like to just echo that. I'm sure all areas of the borough parishes will welcome seeing Eric as much as what you will. Councillor Butler, then Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Chair. Again, more of a comment just to say that I'm really pleased to see that this scheme will incorporate on-gas properties as well as off-gas. Obviously, that will make a huge difference to Boston Town. Yes, the grant funding isn't as much as we initially bid for and what we would have hoped for, but it's still going to make a sizable difference to many people's lives and warmth, especially as winter's coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Mountain.
Thank you very much, Chair. Again, I echo what my colleagues just said. Ultimately, the Hug 2 was almost aimed at the outliers of the borough, the ones not on mains gas or those that wanted to come off mains gas. However, the majority of the borough now can access this, which is really good.
Thank you, Councillor Mountain. Any other questions, comments? Right, we'll now move to the vote. All those in favour? Clearly carried. Thank you. The fourth item this evening is the Plan for Neighbourhoods report, which starts on page 91 of the agenda pack. Councillor Gilbert, would you like to present and propose a recommendation? And again, same as Councillor Ryder, I'd like to welcome you onto the Cabinet.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is the update on the Plan for Neighbourhoods. This paper before you relates to the Plan for Neighbourhoods, which is the most recent funding made available to Boston by the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. The purpose of this funding is to further develop key aspects of Boston Borough and our infrastructure over a 10-year period from 2026. In delivering our plan, we must consult widely and take into account the views of the community and other stakeholders, such as the Town Board, so that in preparation and planning of our 10-year plan, we can establish a scheme of interventions and projects that meet the government's criteria for the £20 million worth of funds that are made available to us. The government's themes can be found on page 93, which is para 1.3. And the neighbourhood board's themes can be located on page 95, paragraph 3.3. This paper relates to a pot of interim funding available now, which will enable us to do the consultation and build our plan. This interim funding is called capacity funding. This paper has 5 recommendations which relate to the capacity funding. The first recommendation is to accept the capacity funding so we can progress our programme of consultation and build our plan. The next 4 recommendations are more technical and relate to delegating authority to the Director of Economic Development for the use of the capacity funding in consultation with the portfolio holder for economic growth, and where necessary, either the Director of Finance or taking a steer from the Town Board, who are a consultative group made up of businesses, other local organisations and members of our community. My proposal to Cabinet is to accept all 5 recommendations so we can swiftly progress to drawing down the capacity funding subject to the delegated powers set in place, and therefore move forward with our plan for neighbourhoods, which is a requirement of the government prior to 28th of November 2025. I therefore ask the Cabinet to agree to the following: to accept and release all revenues, capacity funding provided by central government, and to support the development of a new 10-year regeneration plan for Boston. Delegate authority to the Director of Economic Development to agree and expand all capacity funding provided by central government in consultation with the portfolio holder for economic growth and the steer from the Town Board. Delegate authority to the Director of Economic Development to approve and enter all the necessary contractual arrangements to progress the submission of a 10-year regeneration plan and 4-year investment plan for Boston in consultation with the portfolio holder for economic growth and the steer from the Town Board. Delegate to the Interim Director of Finance in consultation with the portfolio holder for economic growth and the Director of Economic Development the drawdown of up to £170,000 from the Economic Growth Reserve in order to meet the proposed spend for 25-26 outlined in section 3.3, and delegate to the Interim Director of Finance in consultation with the portfolio holder for economic growth and the Director of Economic Development to draw down additional sums from the balance sheet account up to £52,000. So that's the recommendation I'm making to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gilbert, for that detailed report. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Gosh. Is there any questions on this report? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Chair. Again, not so much a question, more of a comment. I'd just, it's fantastic that obviously Boston's been successful in getting this money, but it's just worth noting that the majority of the fund, well, all the fund has to be spent within the Boston town built up area. So I know we get accused of not being a borough-wide council, but on this occasion, the money has been stipulated by government that it has to be spent on the Boston town area, built up area. But that doesn't mean that people in the parishes can't be involved. We've got the consultation out there for everybody. It's everybody's town. So I encourage everybody to join in with the consultation to have your say.
Totally agree, Councillor Butler. Councillor Baxter.
Thank you, Chair. Something I've noticed recently, and it's highlighted on page 94 of this report, the fact that with all our projects, we're going through consultation processes. We're asking business people, the people who live in our borough. If you look at page 94, the number of times that consultation is mentioned with town board, community engagement. So I think it's fantastic that we're consulting our people. We're talking as well, delegating things to the portfolio holder. So I think that's a really good point within our council. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Baxter. Anybody else? I'd like to congratulate Preliminaries and the Town Board for progressing this work so professionally. It ensures the continued focus on our town and provides an opportunity to build on the successful Towns Fund and Levelling Up scheme. Thank you very much, Preliminaries. Right, so we'll now move to the vote. All those in favour? Clearly carried. Thank you. The final item this evening is the Local Government Reorganisation Support for a Greater Lincolnshire for All report, which starts on page 105 of the agenda pack. This is my report, so I'll present and propose a recommendation. Greater Lincolnshire is one of several areas in England that was invited by the Minister for Local Government to submit a proposal for local government reorganisation. Our partners, East Lindsey District Council and South Holland District Council, submitted a joint interim proposal, Appendix A, to government on the 21st of March 2025. At that time, Boston Borough Council took the decision not to submit an interim proposal, but instead to secure an understanding of all interim proposals being put forward before looking at how best to progress. On the 10th of July, East Lindsey and South Holland Councils announced they were commencing the development of their final proposal to government, a Greater Lincolnshire for All. The final proposal by our partners is for 2 unitary councils in Greater Lincolnshire, which are set out as 1, the Northern Unitary, which is the City of Lincoln, West Lindsey, North Lincolnshire and North East Lincolnshire, and the Southern Unitary, which would be Boston Borough Council, East Lindsey Council, South Holland Council, South and North Kesteven. The leaders of East Lindsey and South Holland councils have invited Boston Borough Council to become a partner in the development of their proposal and to have the opportunity to shape and develop that proposal with the councils over the coming months. Following a review of proposals being developed and given our strong and positive working relationship with East Lindsey and South Holland, this report recommends this council becomes a formal partner in the development of a Greater Lincolnshire for all. To support the proposal, an allocation of up to 42,000 will be made available from the Funding Volatility Reserve. The proposal must be submitted by the 28th of November 2025. Greater Lincolnshire is earmarked by government to go live with its new arrangements in April 2028. I therefore move the recommendation that 1, Cabinet agrees to become a partner in a Greater Lincolnshire for All proposal for local government reorganisation, and 2, that Cabinet makes available a sum of up to 42,000 to support the development of the proposal. And I now look for a seconder. Councillor Sharp, thank you. Right, are there any questions on this report? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Chair. Again, not so much a question, more of just an observation. Having looked at all of the proposals, I feel that the proposal on the table that we've been presenting tonight, or being asked to support tonight rather, is the best one for Lincolnshire as a whole. Some of the others that have been proposed with an eastern and western boundary create a rich and a poor, or a rich district and a poor district, which I just don't agree with. Another is, in my opinion, for political reasons, whereas this one seems to be the best of the bunch. None of us want to lose the borough, and you know, I feel we're going to lose democracy to a certain extent. However, we haven't got a say in the matter. This is being thrust on us by government, so we've got to support the best one, and this is the best one.
Yeah, totally agree, Councillor Butler. I'll say we've already got a good, strong working partnership with East Lindsey and South Holland, so it's the obvious one to me. But Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, just to say I completely agree with Councillor Butler as well. And this proposal gives the right amount of residents within these areas as well that the government have recommended for it to be financially viable. So another good plus for it.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. Councillor Baxter.
Yeah, not really questions, but comments. Chatting to residents, of course, they've started to panic a little bit when they read about this. I'd like to say thank you to the people who produced the brochure and all the consultation processes plan, because it brings to light exactly what's going to happen. I agree with the comments as well. We join as a partnership and we satisfy the criteria now. Most of our residents were concerned about services, so this is covered within the reports and something to be looked at. For people as well who live in rural areas, it mentions as well the links between the unit area council and also parish councils through area committees. Also, the most recent email from the minister, it mentions about assets and protection as well. So I support that we join with our partners. I hope as well that we'll be able to talk to other district councils so that we can all sing from the same hymn sheet. Thanks for all the work that's been done.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Totally agree with your point as well. Councillor Gilbert.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to endorse everything that's already been said and just add the fact that I think we held back a little for a while to evaluate the other options that were on the table. But having looked at all those options myself, I agree with all my colleagues. You know, this is by far the best option. It isn't politically or selfishly motivated. It's motivated for the best interests of South Lincolnshire.
Totally agree. There's no doubt this proposal has momentum and meets the government's requirements, which is the main thing. Our involvement will ensure the thoughts of Boston's residents and businesses are represented, which is paramount to every single council, I believe, on Boston Borough Council. So is there any more? No question. Right, we'll move on to the vote then. So all those in favour? Thank you, everyone. That concludes this evening's business. So I'll now close the meeting. Wish everybody a safe trip home. Thank you for your attendance.